reads as follows. The church teaches that couples must have a serious reason to use NFP to avoid a pregnancy. Can it ever be sinful for married Catholics to not use NFP, abstinence, continence, when there is a serious reason not to get pregnant? So only 22%, 23% said it could be sinful. Almost half. Welcome back, everyone. Craig and Jonah, we're live.
All right.
This is our first time doing this, just an episode of us live stream. I did one by myself, so it was a solo.
Which you're a master of.
Yeah. It was easier than I thought. It lasted longer than normal, too. So,
congrats.
Yeah. Just to test it out, make sure everything worked. It worked.
You did, and you didn't have to go to confession afterwards.
Did not.
Well, that's great.
So yeah, and then we've been doing some recent live streams with some guests and stuff, and here we decided, you know what? Since we just grip it and rip it anyway, let's just do it and
with an audience,
with maybe that one person that shows up, John, our good friend John Farrell. He clicks on every one of our shorts that comes out too, and it's the same thing. It's something about nature. Can't change nature.
Mm-hmm.
So
he's always there in the comments.
He is. He's just.
We do mention him. In fairness, we do mention him basically every episode because he's a character.
Yep, we love John. We don't see eye to eye on much anymore,
but that's fine.
Yeah, and he's getting further and further away.
So, and we would say there's room for everybody in the Catholic Church, whereas John would say there's not room for us.
Yeah. I can't really blame him for that one. So so
you're sucking on a lollipop?
Yeah, you know how
I wasn't sure if this is gonna be a prop or not.
Yeah, it's you know how the trads, they got their whiskey and they got their cigars and their guns and all that kind of stuff, rosaries. So here's ours. It's kind of tiny, which I guess that's probably fitting. So. Yeah, rainbow lollipop. So this is
like your cigar.
This is my cigar.
All right.
Anyway, so enough of that rambling. Jonah, do you got some story to start us out?
Yeah, so we were visiting family this week in one of the largest cities in the U.S. and it was pretty hot. And there's a large beach there, so went to the beach. And a lot of people there. I mean, there's it's a huge beach. I'm sure tens of thousands of people. I mean, it's really long.
Wow.
But definitely thousands easily. And so we're in the water and we're just playing, having a good time as a family. And this guy comes up to me and he says,
"Are you Jonah?"
No, he didn't. But he's like, "You must be the richest man on this beach." And at first I wasn't sure if it's because I'm raising 4 kids in the city.
Yeah, there you go.
Or he thought he was.
Yeah.
But he went on to talk about the importance of family and just how great it is, that to see us playing with our kids, and it made him happy. And he talked then also about all the young people around us that didn't have kids, and he just feels like they're missing out on something important in life. Because you look around at the beach, I mean, there's a ton of people there. There's a ton of young people, like prime reproductive age, and very, very, very few kids. And maybe that's because the parents are busy taking care of the kids. I don't know. But there's very few kids there. So that was just an interesting observation. But then the interaction took a turn somewhere that I didn't expect.
Okay.
He all of a sudden got somber, and he said that his daughter was killed in a gas station recently. During an armed robbery.
Oh my!
She happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And he told the story, and I did my best to console him. And he started crying. Understandably, it just happened recently. And he said, "Can I give you a hug?" And so I'm, chest deep in the water. And he's probably, 10 feet away-ish. And
does Dolores see all this going on?
She didn't know what was happening, but she was watching. And I just said, "No, I'm okay." And he just put his head down and he walked away.
Oh my.
And I felt like such a jerk.
Wow.
And so what would you do, Craig, in that instance?
How big a guy was he?
He was my size, but not like super muscular or anything. But you just don't know. And it was a very normal conversation. Other than that, I just don't typically hug strangers, but I'm sure Jesus would have hugged this man.
Any volunteers? Anyone?
So a guy that I know had a great response. He's like, you should have just said, well, maybe we should just pray together. And that probably would have been sufficient, I think.
Fist pump or something, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, I could have said, how about a fist bump? But I felt like a real jerk. And so it's something that actually kind of haunts me, that I was a jerk to this guy when he really needed somebody. So I'm sorry, I have a sad story for this, but I don't know what the right answer was. But I because it's risky, because you just never know.
Easy for me to say, I guess.
Yeah.
It's sort of like you were uncomfortable just because you didn't know, like you were concerned about your safety more than just.
Oh yeah, concerned about, because you just never know. What somebody's real motive is. I mean,
it's the same way I don't give rides to people anymore. I'll give them some money. I mean, I'll readily give the folks money that are on the sidewalk, even though I know what they're going to do with it. But yeah, it's just, with your kids around and stuff like that, it's a tough call.
Yep, the kid, yeah, I mean, it'd be traumatic if something crazy happened in front of the kids, But then I was thinking too, like if it had been a woman, would I have reacted differently? Like, because going back to a previous episode, thongs are apparently very popular, and they were at this beach as well.
Okay.
Dolores would have been pretty suspicious, though, if it had been that sort of scenario. I'll say that. She'd be like, yeah, right.
I was just offering aid and comfort. Yeah.
But honestly, I don't think I would have given a woman a hug either, to be honest, in that situation. Just to be fair.
Like really bend back and reach out in front of you.
I could have given like the slight, the back tap kind of hug, I don't know. But yeah, so that was my story, and I feel bad about it, but I don't know if I made the right choice or not. But
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
I don't know the right answer to that either.
Yeah.
So I guess you'll find out on Judgment Day.
I am going to bring it up in confession, honestly, because I feel that bad about it.
Okay.
So,
well, if
that's a tough story to lead anything else into, but
yeah, well, I got something to lighten them.
All right.
So it's been a little while since I talked about my plight as a NFP user.
Yeah, you rarely talk about it.
It's gone from bad to worse.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So the good old Marquette, the way it works is, you get 5 days on the front.
Okay.
At the beginning of the cycle, you get 5 days, which realistically, one of those days is
not going to happen.
Well, one of those days it's going to happen. The other days, it's not comfortable for everyone. So that's.
I thought you were going to say the Marquette method failed. That's where I thought you were going with it.
I don't think so. I hope not.
For how much you've been abstaining.
Yeah. That'll be a real salt in my wounds. So, So then it's a pretty, pretty rigorous thing. The Marquette method, to the extent that a buddy of mine reached out to me. He's a few years older than me, and his wife's the same age as my wife, and they just had their 8th, and the 8th was a bit of a surprise for them. And he's like, yeah, we probably better figure out a better NFP method. And I said, well, here you go. I mean, you'll be abstaining all the time, but it works. So anyway, so you start on day 5, you start abstaining, and then whenever ovulation happens, then it's like literally 5 days later. So in the way it's been running for us, that is left about 4 or 5 days at the end, maybe, to work with. Well, we're about day 25, 26 in. There's no ovulation yet.
Oh,
so
that's a long time.
Yeah, you're telling me. And if somehow she got pregnant, I have no explanation for it, but I don't think that's it. So
might want to check the Amazon man.
Yeah, it's looking bleak. she's been super nice to me the last few days, and I think she's feeling sorry for me.
Or she's closer to ovulation.
I don't know. You had the 5 days on the end. I think I'm gonna miss this wagon before another one starts.
The train is leaving the station.
Yeah. So I'm thinking we're down to once a month now, maybe for a while. So that's a lot of fun.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Some more trips to the confessional than
yeah, if you want gravelly, agitated Craig to come on here and talk about the joys and pleasures of NFP, get used to it.
PMAS Craig is more fun than
makes better content. But I had this theory the other day. I want to run this past you. Okay. So PMAS, we haven't talked about PMAS in a while.
Not in a while.
Post Marital Act Syndrome.
Is that episode 50 or no?
I don't know, but it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Okay. PMAS is that that sense of agitation and tension and everything that builds up the longer it's been since you were intimate, right? Mm-hmm. And we always talk about, let's say, the day after, maybe 2 days after, it's kind of that bliss period. Everything's great. Mm-hmm. As good as it's going to get.
It's like when it switches to color in the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. Yep. That's the sweet spots a day or two after. And then it starts to wear off after to about day 3 or 4. And then tension starts to build up. And that I would say day 5 to 7 is the hardest. Mm-hmm. And then like 8 to 10 is tough, but a little easier, I think. I don't know.
That's debatable. Master debatable.
Yeah. But I have found you get to about day 14, and I think, I don't know, things start to die off. So.
You're serious?
Yeah. Wow. I've always thought that. I always thought if you can get to day 14, it's not fun anymore. And it's not fun, but it's less miserable. And I don't know why that is. You start to become celibate again, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, your sperm producing cells are dying. Probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Requiring less energy and attention. So
yeah, I went home for lunch today and my wife asked how it was going. I said, things are going good. I said, I'm firing on all cylinders. Well, not all cylinders. One of them is dying and she said, I'm sorry. I'm like, you don't have to apologize. It's not your fault. I'm just stating a fact here. But so I wonder, is there any correlation between the PMAS cycle and a woman's cycle in that, you get the 2 or 3 days of Jonah's got a very skeptical face. Okay. But, we know sperm can live for, I believe it lives for a long, long time, but let's say 3 days, something like that.
I think the DNA starts to degrade after 5.
Okay. So, you've got that bliss period where your body, at least the man's body, is saying, you're good for a couple of days. Don't worry about a few days. And then that sort of allows the last time to do its work. And then the urge starts to build up again. And then you get to, like I said, you get to about day 14 and I don't know, body starts to shut down a little bit and you're past that window. It's almost like your body is getting you, trying to get you active 2 or 3 times in about a 10-day period around that ovulation window. And then it dies a little bit. Still not bad. Maybe I'm just trying to rationalize my.
How many times have you done this? Like once?
Oh no. At least 9 every time one of my kids is born. So, and
that's impressive.
So, I don't know. As crazy as it is, it's like I'd almost rather just stay where I'm at than to go back to that day 4 to 7.
Okay.
That's worse. To me, that's worse.
The painful stage.
That's the worst stage.
Yep.
That's where it's like interfering with sleep and stuff
so
like that. So
you're not losing sleep?
Not really.
Wow.
No.
You're the Iron Man.
I don't know. I mean, It's funny though, because I can tell I'm agitated. Like when I'm outside and the kids, I'm short. My wife notices it
I
too,
believe that.
and I'm not. It's like I'm not going. I want away, but you're just not yourself. I mean, you are kind of
Not as relaxed, I would guess.
yeah. It's not the bliss period. So anyway, I don't know.
Well, that is quite an observation. You got all this extra brain power, like all these extra resources going to your brain.
Is that what it is?
I think so. Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I still take the alternative. I'll sacrifice some brain cells.
Yeah, pretty much any guy would.
So we'll see.
Keep the streak alive.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, so that's the update on that. So I wanted to talk about a couple things that came up in some Twitter polls that I ran, or that we ran. And let me see if I can pull up this one here. Which one is it? Oops. Let's see. Let's do. No, that's not the one I want. Okay, let's start with this one. Heck with it. Okay. And I'm gonna go to full screen and take me off the screen. So so this was a Twitter poll. I was a little sad we only got 35 votes, but that was okay. So the poll, so you know how Humani Vitae says you have to have a good reason or just cause, grave reason, whatever it is, to use NFP, which still doesn't make a lot of sense to me as to what it exactly permits you to do that you're not otherwise allowed to do. Is it
because abstinence is okay?
Yeah, I mean, do you have to like have permission to abstain, or is it do you have to have permission to not abstain during the infertile times? Like, I don't know.
Kind of like a hall pass, you know, like
Yeah.
in high school, you gotta get a hall pass.
Yeah, but I'm not sure what the hall pass is for exactly.
Because you could do it anyways.
Yeah, you can abstain. You don't have, I mean, anyway. So, but got to have grave reason to use NFP. And I always wondered, well, is it ever sinful to like not use it, or to like not, even if you just take the old hardcore John Farrell approach and say, no, you're all off or you're all on. So you're going to be continent. That's the fancy word that they used to use back before people were cheating with NFP, right? I mean, is it ever immoral or just sinful to get pregnant when maybe you shouldn't be? And so that was the poll. So the poll reads as follows: the church teaches that couples must have a serious reason to use NFP to avoid a pregnancy. Can it ever be sinful for married Catholics to not use NFP, abstinence, continence, when there is a serious reason not to get pregnant? So only 22%, 23% said it could be sinful. Almost half, and over half of those that responded said it would not be sinful. The trads came out in full force there, right?
And I assume that they mean that it's in God's hands. Like you're leaving everything up to God. That's why it's not sinful.
Yeah. I don't know about that. Like,
because I mean, it's sinful to not wear a seatbelt, perhaps, you know, whereas, you know, you'd be putting your faith in God that you'll be safe.
Yeah.
So it's kind of similar that way, but.
Well, it's like when you take, you know, you take it upon yourself, you take your child into baptize, you promise that you're going to raise them in the faith. What if you're going through a real intense struggle in your faith, or you're going through marital struggles and stuff like that? You know, you're going to be shipping out to the military or something like that. Like there could be all kinds of reasons why,
or you just can't afford.
Yeah, you might just be imprudent. And I just find it hard to believe that if you can sin by abstaining when you shouldn't be abstaining, that it can also be sinful when maybe you ought to use your brain and reason, and even if it's just full continence, not even using NFP, but should you not be getting pregnant?
You come up with some amazing Twitter polls, because
I don't know.
It's difficult to know what's right there.
Let's get Father Ripperger on and ask him that question.
Well, I know he'd go with the not sinful.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
you have to be able to provide for your family too.
Seems like it. So I don't know.
I don't know how I feel. You know, I was torn on that. I think I did pick not sinful though, just because I went with the
You're such a trad.
conventional line of thought. Yeah.
You're such a trad.
I am sometimes. I always thought I was a trad until I saw like real life trads.
Yeah, that's right. All right, Kevin. These polls are clearly biased against persons without Twitter. Hey, we have been trying. We have been trying to get you on. So we just talk about you on Twitter.
You should join Twitter.
Yeah. So we need to get you on Twitter, and you need to get on these polls. These are important. For all we know, the Pope checks these polls when he's deciding on what the new encyclical will be about.
That'd be awesome if he'd cite one of your polls.
Yeah, that would be good. I hope it's a good one. I hope it's not one of the other ones. So anyway, so I thought that was I don't know. I'd be curious what people actually think about that. So I want to go to another poll here, and I'm going to remove this quickly. And while I'm doing that, I got to go to another one. Oh, here, this one. So, okay. So, when I talk to people about, struggles in the stuff that we talk about, and sometimes the difficulty of understanding or accepting some of the church's teachings when it comes to marriage and intimacy and things like that, people are like, well, I mean, when you defer to the church when it tells you what the Trinity is, or Mary's ever virgin and things like that. Yes, but I think the church and I think celibate priests are very well set up, probably far better set up than I am, to weigh in on questions of the nature of God, the nature of Jesus, the virginity of Mary, the assumption of Mary.
Yep.
Okay.
I would agree with that.
I think that's
very fair.
Well into their area of expertise. Yep. This stuff tends
in their lane.
It's in their lane. Okay. Unlike this stuff, which I think is, I don't know. In the other lane, right? Where I spent a lot more time. And you know what? I don't spend time not being able to sleep at night wrestling with whether I understand and accept the nature of the Trinity, right?
Yeah, I've just accepted that.
Yeah. I don't spend a lot of time in confession struggling with my inability to fully understand and embrace the Trinity.
That's right. Yeah.
So then the poll is, here's the poll then for those that are listening. Does it matter whether we are talking about teachings of belief, for example, the Trinity, Mary's virginity, and teachings of action, do this or don't do this? And so the question is the duty to submit to teachings of action any different from the duty to submit to teachings of belief? So of those that answered, almost 31% said the duties are the same. 15% said belief was more obligatory, and in 23%, so more people thought that action was more obligatory. So it's more important that we sort of defer to the church when it comes to moral actions as opposed to what we believe about God or purgatory or any of these things.
Which one did you pick?
Which one do you think I picked?
Well, I picked the duties are the same. Strive for that. I know I'm such. I took the trad answer again.
You are such a closeted trad.
Well, we should all strive for that, but then there's, the real life situations that occur that, where you stumble, you just try to pick yourself up and try again. I don't know.
Now, I can see the argument that, well, it's not essential to your salvation that you fully accept, let's say, the perpetual virginity of Mary or not. Even you can go through life and be a very good Catholic and in your heart say, I don't necessarily believe that she remained a virgin. Mm-hmm. Okay. I could see that. I could see that argument. And they could say, well, it's much more important that you're not engaging in sin and all this and that.
It's a fair argument. Yeah.
But on the flip side, it doesn't take any, I don't know, it doesn't affect my day-to-day life.
It takes zero effort.
Yeah, it takes zero effort. It interferes with my sleep, life, doesn't impact my marriage in any way, the way that these moral rules do, right?
It's true.
Whether I can appreciate and believe the assumption of Mary doesn't bring children into the world like these other things do, right? So I don't know. I think that it's a distinction that I've become more and more aware of as I get into these things, and inevitably someone who will push back and say, well, you can't question the church, or you can't have reservations what the church says about these things because you wouldn't, just come up with your own idea. There's 4 persons in the Trinity instead of 3. I'm like, those are totally different things in the impact it has on my day-to-day life. Sometimes moment to moment living is just not the same, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So
that's
anyway,
a great poll.
Yeah.
Another great poll.
Yeah, we're breaking ground here. We're thinking.
This is all you, man.
Well, we're thinking about things no Pope has even bothered to think about before.
I mean, I guess you're spending more time at night thinking of Twitter polls.
Yeah, I got plenty of time on my hands. So,
so with your newfound strength after 14 days, are you dreading intimacy in the future, just so you can hang on to your strength?
Yeah, but I like literally, it'll take 3 seconds and I'll fold like a cheap house of cards.
I gotcha.
She could knock on the window right now, and I'd say, "Get the hell out of here, Jonah."
And I would do that on respect.
Circle the block a couple times and come back.
Back in 3 minutes.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. I thought to me that isn't. I think that's an important distinction, and again, I could see arguments both ways for why it may be more important to follow the moral rules as opposed to having all the correct beliefs. But I don't know. It seems, like I said, it seems much more well in the lane of the clergy and the philosophers and the theologians and the monks and hermits in the desert to be pondering the existence and nature of God than it is to be deciding 20 minutes is too long, buddy. That's
that's a cutoff.
Yeah, I don't know.
No foreplay, afterplay outside of that.
Right. Yep. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. Maybe that's why the Desert Fathers didn't weigh in on how long foreplay should be.
Yeah. Some things are better just left unstated.
They
right?
stayed in their lane.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. I think this is a distinction I will bring up more and more when I get into these conversations. If people push back and say, "Well, why do you talk so much about this stuff?" Well, because it impacts our day-to-day life.
Pretty much every day.
Impacts my life, impacts my marriage, impacts my relationship with my kids, whether I'm grouchy or not. How often have I got to go to confession? All that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
That's all true, man.
So anyway, what else we got?
I don't know.
So for those that are tuning into the live stream, what the method to this madness, I think, is going to be that we will live stream once a week, probably on Monday afternoons around this time. And Sunday's episodes will be hopefully more thoughtful and planned out, and hopefully substantive than these ones, which is more just us kind of talking
about issues,
winging it and stuff like that. Although we do have some pretty cool live streams coming up. If you haven't seen it yet, I guess I did a live stream with Jordan Daniel Wood last week, Friday, on hell and universalism and mortal sin. Those that have seen it have given his comments and just the overall interview high praises. That will come out as an episode this coming Sunday. I think it's episode 237. We'll have to, I think that's the number, but that one's worth checking out. Now, you may not agree with everything he says, nor do I necessarily, but people that have commented have said it really made them think about things they hadn't thought about before. And I think that's really what we're trying to do here. So
exactly. So
that was a really good episode. So if you haven't seen that one, if you didn't see the live stream, hang tight. watch for 237 to come out on Sunday, because it is worth a listen. And go over and follow him on Twitter or whatever, and if you can, thank him and acknowledge him coming on the show. I wasn't sure he would come on the show, and I even warned him. I said, "Look, this is the stuff we talk about here," and he's like, "He came on,
fear, huh?
No fear."
All right, that's what we
So
like.
now he said he has some of his own feelings on the stuff that we talk about, but he wanted to think about it some more. So maybe we can tease him out. Maybe we can tease him out. And
a second act.
Second one, yeah. So
all right.
So anyway, yeah. All right, you guys in the comments. I guess it's JD and Kevin. Let me see here if we got any. The idea that perpetual virginity is tied to her holiness is seen reveals something about the churches. Yeah, let's put that up there. So I never really gave too much thought to the perpetual virginity of Mary, but it's come up a few times in trad circles on Twitter and stuff, and it's not about whether she was a virgin when she conceived Jesus or even when she gave birth to him, but did she have to remain a virgin afterwards? I know there's the one part in the gospel where it says Mary and Jesus' brothers and sisters came, and they say, well, that meant cousins or something like that. But I don't know. It's in there. And I don't know how essential it would have been I don't know if it would have taken away from the salvific mission of Christ if Mary had gone on and had a family with Joseph afterwards. I don't know.
And like you said, it doesn't affect my daily life, so I just roll with that one.
Yeah. I'm okay with whatever it is, because it literally does not affect me.
Nope.
But I think JD is onto something here where he says, I mean, I don't know where that came from. Like, I don't think it's anywhere in scripture. And again, now I'm really waiting this is not in my lane, but I don't think there's anything in the gospels and stuff that really talk about whether Mary remained a virgin. There's some references to the Old Testament that they say, well, this
prophesied.
Yeah, this stands for Mary, which, okay, but it's like, you still got to like make some connections and I would say some liberal applications of it. And maybe that's true. Like, again, I don't have a dog in the fight one way or another, but it does sort of, I mean, it could in some ways reflect an uneasiness that the church, and especially doctors of the church and some of the ancient writers, had just this uncomfortable relationship they had to the body and to sex, and the idea of the Blessed Virgin being like every other human. It was just a bridge too, road too far, bridge too far. What's the
road?
Something too far. What's the term?
It could be a bridge. Or I don't know. It could
be. This is why you don't do a live
stream. You can't think clearly after.
I have exhausted. I've exhausted the store that I had up there. So. Yeah.
I was just looking for that in the Bible, and there's a couple places that mention it. It's tough to say though.
To me, it seems like it could be a sensibility thing. Like it's sort of like no one wants to think about their mom and dad.
Yeah.
Other than just as a mom and dad.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit of the same thing. Like, it's just easier for us not to have to grapple with that reality.
I can't find the exact passages where this comes from, but and this isn't in the Bible, I don't think, but it talks about just how Joseph was an old man who married her without physical desire anymore. And that's kind of how they dealt with that. I don't know.
Although I don't think that's true either. I think modern exegesis or whatever, but that's a big word. I think I used that right. If not, it makes me sound smart. Seem to, Yeah, and I think you're right, though. I think art in the past has sort of given that impression to, again, reinforce the idea that
he was just too old to do it. Even though, like, people in the Bible have had children very old.
Yeah.
So
Joe Pilot from a few episodes ago, still going strong in his 70s. So I don't know.
Comparing Abraham to Joe Pilot.
Yeah, right. Modern day.
Yeah.
Modern day. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So well, yeah, I guess if you guys have any comments on what kind of penance Jonah should do for turning down the poor guy at the beach, let us know in the
Yep. Let us
comments.
know.
Yeah. So
It's interesting. So I made some notes about the survival of sperm. So we kind of
Oh, yeah.
talked a little bit. And one thing that's interesting is that there is a condition called sperm cramps, which are caused to a buildup of sperm in the upper part of the testicles, I guess, and it can lead to pain. And I know there's only one way to get rid of that.
well, a few ways to get rid of it, I guess.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess. But prolonged abstinence, I guess it just kind of wears down that desire over time. Yeah, it's called epididymal hypertension. It's usually not serious and can often be resolved only through getting rid of it.
Yeah, somehow.
Yeah. But people do find relief by using the Valsalva maneuver. It's like where you pinch your nose and try to push air out of it.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of like a home remedy, I guess, for epididymal hypertension. But
wow. Well, if anyone's tried that, let us know. I don't plan to try that.
Yeah, I'm guessing most guys just go with the more direct method. treat the source.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. Well, we're running up on 36 minutes, and I think that's probably longer than anyone wants to listen to us. So,
well, it's been fun.
Yeah. So maybe I don't think I can do it next week.
Okay.
Because I will be out with the family, but the week after.
Sounds
if you're
good.
Around. So if you got questions.
And I will be gone the week after.
Oh my.
So it might be a couple weeks.
Yeah. So you guys are going to have to abstain from this for a couple of weeks like the rest of us. We'll be back in early August then or something like that. Yeah. But that's kind of the idea. On Mondays, we'll do our one episode to be kind of a live stream. So
sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out in the chat. Thank you, Jonah. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And until next time, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good one.